The galaxy was old and quiet. Most stars had names and most dangers were known. The great alien civilizations believed the age of surprise was over. The Karun Concord ruled one spiral arm. They were tall, careful beings with silver skin and long memory. They survived by planning, by order, by never taking risks. To them, the universe was a puzzle already solved, one of their kind. Archivist Saloon watched the stars for small changes. That was his duty. To see patterns before they became threats. Then his world began to die. It did not start with war. There were no fleets at the edge of the system. No warning lights, no enemy messages. It started with silence. Stars near the Karun home system began to dim, not explode, not collapse. They faded. Slowly and wrongly, energy vanished as if swallowed. Trade routes failed. Navigation beacons went dark. Entire colonies stopped answering calls. The Concord called it a rare cosmic event. They said it would pass. They were wrong. Within weeks, gravity storms tore through inhabited systems. Planets cracked. Cities fell into oceans of fire. Billions died without ever seeing a cause. Saloon watched his own sky change color. The light of his home star flickered like a dying heart. Fear spread faster than any disease. The Concord searched for answers. They scanned dark matter, subspace, ancient relics. Nothing explained the destruction. Then Saloon saw something impossible. Buried beneath the chaos was a pattern. A signal, weak, steady, repeating. It was not a message. It carried no language, no images, just rhythm. A pulse that echoed across damaged systems. At first, the Concord dismissed it. Background noise, radiation bleed. A meaningless echo from a dying region of space. Saloon did not agree. He noticed the signal grew stronger near ruined worlds. It bent around gravity storms. It survived where communication did not. It behaved like something alive as the Karun homeworld began evacuation. Panic ruled, order failed. The great planners had no plan for this. Civil war broke out over resources. Ships collided while fleeing. Whole cities were abandoned in minutes. Saloon lost his family during the escape. Their vessel vanished into a gravity tear. No debris, no trace. Pain hollowed him. But still he watched the signal because it remained. When the Karun star finally collapsed, Saloon was already gone, drifting in a damaged archive ship with few survivors. Homeless, broken, the Concord was no more. Its fleet scattered, its records burned. Among the wreckage of his civilization, Saloon made one final discovery. The signal did not come from ancient space. It was young, too young for something so widespread. Tracing it backward did not lead to a dead star or a lost empire. It led outward, toward the edge of mapped space. Toward a small, ignored region, marked in old charts as unstable and unimportant. A place no great civilization had bothered to claim. Saloon marked the source with a simple note. Not a warning, not a theory, just a truth that filled him with dread. Whatever destroyed his world was not finished, and somewhere in the dark, a weak, unknown species lived close to the heart of the signal. And the signal, the impossible signal, was still spreading. Saloon drifted through space for many cycles. His damaged archive ship moved slowly, hiding among dead systems. The galaxy he knew was gone, only ruins remained. The signal never left him. It pulsed through empty space with calm rhythm. Unchanged by disaster, unaffected by loss, Saloon followed it, not with hope, but because there was nothing else left. As he traveled farther from known space, the signal grew clearer. Still weak, still simple, but persistent. He passed the remains of other civilizations, frozen habitats, shattered worlds, silent stars. Each ruin carried traces of the same pulse, as if the signal had watched them die. Alien records recovered from wreckage told similar stories: sudden collapse, unseen disasters, internal chaos, no single enemy, no clear cause. Every species reacted the same way. They tried to control the universe. They tried to hide. They tried to preserve themselves. They failed. Saloon began to understand a terrible truth. The universe did not reward perfection. It tested endurance. The signal led him to a yellow star. Small, stable, unremarkable, barely worth note by galactic standards. Old charts named the system Sol. Low threat rating, low value, orbiting it was a crowded, noisy world, overpopulated, polluted, scarred. A planet that should not have survived its own history. Saloon observed from afar. What he saw confused him. The dominant species was weak. Soft bodies, short lives, no natural armor. They damaged their own world. They fought each other constantly. Their technology was uneven and crude. Powerful in some areas, dangerously unstable in others. They made mistakes, often fatal ones. Any advanced civilization would have erased itself with such flaws. Yet they remained. Saloon searched for the signal source. It was not a beacon, not a machine, not a weapon. It leaked from everything they touched. From broken satellites, from damaged probes, from abandoned machines drifting in space. Even their failures sent the signal outward. These beings suffered more than any species Saloon had studied. Natural disasters, disease, endless conflict. They lost millions, then billions, and still they rebuilt. Pain shaped them, loss hardened them, fear did not stop them. The signal was strongest where their history was darkest. Near old battle zones, near dead cities, near silent monuments left behind by tragedy. Saloon realized the signal was not intentional. These beings were not trying to speak to the galaxy. The signal was a scar. It was the echo of survival itself. A trace left behind by a species that refused to end. From the view of the greater galaxy, these beings were nothing. Too divided, too emotional, too reckless. Saloon marked them as insignificant. As most others had, yet the data did not lie. Where other civilizations collapsed under pressure, these beings adapted. Where others surrendered to despair, they pushed forward. The signal did not announce conquest, it announced persistence. Saloon felt something he had not felt since losing his world. Unease. If such a weak species could survive this much pain, what would happen when the universe finally noticed them? As Saloon prepared to transmit his findings into deep space, long-range sensors detected movement. Multiple advanced fleets were changing course. Drawn by the same signal, and they were heading toward Sol. The fleets did not come with anger. They came with certainty. The civilizations that followed the signal were old and powerful. They had survived by removing threats before they grew. To them, prevention was mercy. From their view, Sol was a problem waiting to happen, a noisy world leaking influence it did not understand. A weak species creating ripples across the galaxy. They watched humanity from a distance. They saw constant conflict, nations rising and falling. Weapons built faster than wisdom. The conclusion was simple. These beings were unstable. Saloon observed the decision forming across shared data streams. No single empire gave the order. No council vote was needed. Containment was inevitable. The first step was silence. Human long-range signals vanished. Deep space probes stopped returning data. Exploration vessels failed to report back. Humans noticed something was wrong. They always did. Confusion spread across their networks. Scientists argued, leaders denied, civilians feared the unknown. Still, the humans adapted. They launched new probes, built stronger transmitters, found ways to speak through the noise. Each attempt failed. But each failure pushed the signal outward again. The alien fleets tightened their hold. Gravity fields bent space around Sol. Trade routes that never existed were still blocked. The system was sealed to the galaxy. It was a gentle act. No bombs, no invasion, just isolation. Saloon felt dread grow within him. He had seen this before. Isolation broke civilizations. It turned fear inward. It caused collapse without a single shot. On Earth, pressure mounted. Resources strained, old conflicts reignited. The sky became a reminder of limits. Satellites failed. Climate systems shifted. Technology aged without replacement. Humans suffered. Millions died in disasters made worse by isolation. Cities burned. Coastlines vanished. Hope thinned from the outside. Observers marked this as success. The signal should fade now. They expected it to weaken. It did not. The signal changed. It became sharper, more focused, more efficient. Humans built with what they had. They reused, repaired, repurposed. Old machines were given new life. They argued, they fought, but they never stopped building. Saloon watched humans do something no model predicted. They accepted loss, then moved forward anyway. Where other species preserved comfort, humans sacrificed it. Where others waited for rescue, humans became their own. The signal pulsed stronger near their pain. Near refugee zones, near ruined cities, near places where humans should have given up. Alien analysts dismissed this as coincidence. Emotional noise, statistical error. Saloon knew better. He recorded everything. Because he felt history bending, then the galaxy made its second mistake. Isolation was deemed insufficient. Plans shifted. Control became enforcement. Fleets moved closer to Sol, weapons powered. Containment grids prepared for permanent use. From their view, this was still mercy. Saloon stared at the data in silence. His world had ended the same way, not by attack, but by certainty. As the first alien warships crossed into human space, the signal spiked across the galaxy. Not louder, but clearer, and for the first time, the signal began to respond to pressure. The alien fleets entered human space without resistance. Their ships were vast and precise, cold machines built for control. Not struggle. From orbit, Earth looked fragile, a scar. Scarred world wrapped in thin clouds, too loud, too chaotic, too divided to the observers. Humanity was already breaking. Human governments argued while alien grids locked the system. Satellites failed in waves. Power systems flickered. Navigation collapsed. The galaxy watched and waited. They expected panic. They expected surrender. Humans did panic. They did fight each other. They did suffer. Millions more died as systems failed. Hospitals went dark. Food chains collapsed. Old cities emptied in fear. Alien analysts marked this as proof humans were not special, just another flawed species reaching too far. They sent no messages, no threats, no warnings from their view. Humans were beneath explanation. Saloon watched in silence, his data feeds filled. With predictions of collapse, every model showed the same end, extinction through pressure. Then something went wrong. Instead of surrender, humans adjusted. They stopped trying to restore the old world. They accepted it was gone. Local groups took control. Small systems replaced large ones. Old technology returned. Simple machines replaced fragile networks. Humans stopped asking for help. They stopped waiting for permission. The alien fleets observed strange behavior. Human ships launched without orders. Unarmed vessels flew into blocked space lanes. Many never returned to the galaxy. This looked like fear, desperate acts, meaningless loss. Saloon felt a chill. He had seen this pattern once before, long ago, in Forbidden's records. Humans did not fear loss the way others did. They used it. Every destroyed ship taught them something. Every failure changed their designs. They learned through pain. Human pilots flew knowing they would die. Engineers built systems meant to break and be rebuilt. Commanders accepted losses as part of progress. Alien tacticians laughed at this sacrifice. Was inefficiency. Emotion was weakness. They did not understand. The signal reacted again, not stronger, but tighter. It wrapped around human activity, focused near places of greatest risk, greatest loss. The signal was no longer just a scar. It was becoming a pattern of behavior. Alien control fields began to destabilize, not from attack, but from unpredictability. Human actions did not follow logic models. They broke rules, ignored probability, acted without self-preservation. This confused alien systems built on perfection. Saloon realized the galaxy had made a fatal error. They assumed survival meant avoiding death. Humans believed survival meant moving forward, no matter the cost, as alien fleets prepared the final phase, permanent containment, forced sterilization of space. They finally sent a notice, not a message to humans, but a record entry. Humanity was classified as contained and fading at that exact moment, across Seoul. Across ruined cities and darkened skies, the signal synchronized. For the first time since Saloon detected it, it aligned with intent, not communication, not aggression, resolve, and deep within human space, something activated that the galaxy had never seen before. Not a weapon, not a shield, but a response born from refusal. The observers did not notice it yet, but Saloon did, and he understood too late. The galaxy had mistaken weakness for the absence of fear. The response did not look like war. There were no grand fleets rising at once. No single strike meant. To impress the galaxy, humanity moved in fragments. Small ships launched from hidden places. Old stations powered back on. Forgotten systems woke up. Alien sensors struggled to track it all. Human activity was scattered, uneven, messy. Nothing followed a clean pattern. To the observers, it looked like chaos, but Saloon saw the change. Humans were no longer reacting, they were shaping pressure. Alien containment fields tightened. Gravity locks increased strength. Kill zones were mapped and optimized. The galaxy expected collapse at any moment. Instead, humans pushed harder. They sent ships into certain death on purpose. Not to win, but to learn. Each loss revealed a weakness. Each failure mapped the limits of alien control. Human engineers rebuilt. Faster than alien systems could adapt, they ignored safety margins, ignored survival odds. They built machines meant to burn out. Pilots trained knowing their ships would not return. Crews volunteered without hesitation. Alien analysts marked this as irrational, self-destructive, a sign of a species nearing extinction. They were wrong. The signal changed again. It no longer followed destruction alone. It followed intent. It flared near human fleets moving into impossible space. Near pilots who knew they would die and flew anyway. Near commanders who chose loss over delay. The signal began to interfere with alien coordination. Not by force, but by overload. Alien systems relied on prediction, perfect timing, perfect control. Humans destroyed that. They attacked where no advantage existed. They retreated without reason. They returned from angles that made no sense. Alien fleets began to hesitate. A delay measured in moments, but moments were enough. Human strike groups slipped through containment gaps, not to destroy fleets, but to damage anchors, nodes that held control. Fields together, alien commanders adjusted, then adjusted again, each change lagging behind human adaptation. Saloon recorded the data with growing awe. Humans were not stronger, not faster, not more advanced. They were relentless. Where other species preserved life, humans spent it, freely, purposefully. Loss did not slow them, it fed them. Alien fleets began to suffer damage minor at first, then cascading. A control grid failed, then another. Navigation errors spread. Command chains fractured. The galaxy had never fought an enemy that welcomed pain. Human broadcasts began leaking through the collapsing fields. Not messages of surrender, not threats, records, archives of human history. Wars survived, worlds rebuilt, extinctions narrowly avoided. The signal carried these echoes, not as words, but as proof. Saloon understood at last. The signal was not born from technology, it was born from choice. The choice to continue, even when broken, even when afraid. Alien observers began to feel something unfamiliar, unease. This conflict was not following the expected curve. Humanity was not fading, it was stabilizing under pressure. Containment plans failed one by one. The cost of enforcement rose beyond acceptable limits. For the first time, the galaxy considered retreat at the edge of Sol, a human-built structure powered on old, patched, unstable. Alien sensors flagged it as non-threatening. Barely functional, Saloon focused on it with dread, because the signal was strongest there. More focused than ever before, the structure was not a weapon. Not yet, it was a decision, and as it activated, the signal stopped reacting to the galaxy. It began to lead straight outward toward every civilization listening. The galaxy did not retreat all at once, it hesitated. For the first time in recorded history, the great civilizations paused not because of loss, but because of uncertainty. Human space no longer behaved like a dying system, it stabilized under pressure, adapted faster than enforcement could tighten. Structure at the edge of Sol continued to operate. It was crude, scarred by failure, held together by repair and repetition. Alien sensors struggled to define it. It was not a weapon, not a shield, not a gate, yet it changed everything. The signal flowed through it like blood through a heart, no longer scattered, no longer passive, focused. Saloon watched as the signal reached outward, touching distant systems, old empires, young civilizations just beginning to look at the stars. Where it passed, data shifted, navigation models adjusted. Long-range predictions failed. The signal did not damage, it revealed. It exposed how fragile perfection truly was. The galaxy began to understand, too late for denial. Humans were not dangerous because of strength. They were dangerous because they endured. They accepted pain as cost, loss as lesson. Death as something that could be faced without surrender. Alien fleets withdrew from Sol space, not defeated in battle, but unable to continue without unacceptable loss. Records were rewritten, classifications changed. Humanity was no longer marked as insignificant, nor as unstable. A new designation spread through galactic archives. Persistent Specialune transmitted his final report, not as warning, but as truth. Every civilization believed it would control the universe through order. Humans survived by refusing control. They bent instead of breaking, then pushed forward. The signal was finally understood. It was not created to be found. It was the echo of a species that never stopped moving. Any civilization that expanded far enough, that endured long enough, eventually crossed paths with it. Not because humans hunted the galaxy, but because humans never stayed still. They rebuilt. After collapse, they advanced through ruin. They reached outward even when afraid. The universe tested all life. Most sought shelter. Humans answered with motion. Saloon powered down his archive ship near the edge of human space. Exhausted, changed, his world was gone, but something else had taken its place. A truth written into the fabric of the galaxy. Where suffering existed, humans adapted. Where pressure increased, humans grew stronger. The signal continued to spread, quiet, steady, and now the galaxy listened, because every civilization eventually finds it, and when they do, they find humanity.